morning, and welcome back to Coffee with a Kick. It's over. International break is over for the rest of the year. Actually, pretty good results for the men's national team during the break. We moved through to the knockout stages of it's the CONCACAF Cup. Is that right?
I don't know what they're calling it nowadays. It's something new every year.
CONCACAF Cup? It's not Copa America. It's CONCACAF Cup because we actually have a shot of winning it. Anyways, pretty big news items, actually, that we're going to hit at the top because they are pretty big. We'll hit the lesser one first. That the sale of Newcastle to the Saudi
Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia.
Yes, the sovereign investment fund, something like that. Public sovereign investment fund of Saudi Arabia. The people who own like Live Golf and stuff. And Aramco, their big oil company. They have been approved to purchase Newcastle. Has the sale actually finalized yet? That's what I wasn't able to see. They've been approved to buy it, I think is what has happened, right?
Yeah, I think that was the only thing keeping them from making it official. They obviously had the money already invested, but I think it was just the final stamp.
Yeah. So we'll
the actual sale.
We'll be expecting a new sponsor for Newcastle next year, something Saudi related, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the discrepancy is that the PIF, they only own 80% of it, and then they have 20% minority owners.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, that's just a cover up, so they don't have to actually own the company. They just have to put the money in. The other 20%, they're the actual people doing the work.
Right. Give them a little bite of the cookie so they could put in some good work there and don't just let it all go to waste. But yeah, so I guess good for Newcastle because that kind of feeds into, well, actually, I guess there are three bits that the Premier League failed to pass a ban on transfers. Is it just winter transfer loans? Is that what that?
Just in the January window.
Just in the January window that you could loan players in between ownership affiliated. What was it?
Associated clubs.
Associated clubs. Ownership affiliated clubs. So your players who are squandering in say, I don't know, Saudi Arabia could get loaned to your EPL side and vice versa. Obviously, the big clubs are benefiting from this most, so they were able to get that shot down by one singular vote. But the big news, obviously, off of the international break, big news is Everton getting hit with a 10-point, the largest ever point deduction for in this case, financial malfeasance, and you had a little bit more on the details of that.
Yeah, just not reporting player sales correctly. The books didn't match up how much money they actually brought in versus how much money. Because, some teams get money from sponsorships, and there's certain things you can do with that money. And so, most of the rules in the Premier League is you can't directly use those funds to then buy players. But it seems like Everton kind of went around those rules a little bit, especially from I think the foreign sponsorships they might have had. So a lot of different financial malpractices going on.
They're doing a little bit of a financial shell game, saying that they got more for this guy than they actually got, so they could take these ghost funds from their sponsors and use it to then fund other things that they would otherwise not be allowed to use. Okay. And how similar is this to what City's doing? Or allegedly doing?
Allegedly, obviously we've beaten it before. We'll beat it again.
You've got the money to beat it, apparently.
We have the innocence to beat it.
That's
right.
We
also have the money to beat it.
Absolutely. But innocence.
What they slapped Everton with, it feels pretty similar to what they're alleging City did, just on a bigger fold. So
maybe like a 4-point or 3-point deduction rather than 10 smackaroonies.
It is a precedent, though. I mean, they really did
definitely discouraging.
Yeah, I mean, they decided they were going to hit them hard. Obviously, Everton didn't really matter a ton this year because I think they're up no matter what. But yeah, I mean, it's a big precedent to set.
Yeah, I mean they're down in 19th right now with now 4 points, but they're good enough that between Burnley, Bournemouth, Luton, and Sheffield, they'll be able to get their way out of the relegation zone. I'm pretty confident in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the big headlines coming out of the international break. 10 points, boy, that is a lot though. We'll see how quickly they can recoup those losses. In the meantime, why don't we go ahead and hop into this weekend's, well, mostly weekends action. We're getting into the busy part of the calendar, starting to get these midweeks happening all the time, with some Tuesdays and Wednesdays coming up there and Thursday. Wow, they are scattered all across December, aren't they? But that is later in December. For this weekend, we have the majority of the action on Saturday, starting with Manchester City hosting Liverpool at the 7:30 a.m. So, great. Awesome. 6:30 a.m. for you there in Central Time.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm sure you'll be getting up bright and early for that on the 25th. I've got this. I feel like City will want to bounce back. I mean, they went into this with a bit of a sour note, that 4-4 draw to Chelsea. Really, they should have won that match, but they had some, as we talked about, some really defensive lapses, really big defensive lapses, some inopportune play by Ederson and the other defenders there that allowed that to be a 4-4 draw. I think they bounced back a little bit. It's a big match. We got 1v2 here, so both teams are going at it hard, but I think it's 2-1 to City there at the Etihad.
Yeah, I don't think Pep allows those sort of lapses to happen again.
No.
I think there's going to be some lineup changes.
Well,
but
that's a given. It is a Pep squad. He doesn't go back-to-back starting 11s.
Yeah. So, I don't know. The back is probably going to look a little bit more sturdy. And I'm thinking it's going to be a good one. I think it'll start out pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams want to press, but I think ultimately it's going to end 2-2 in a draw. I think it'll be a classic City-Liverpool. I don't see us getting the win, unfortunately. I would love it. But I predicted 2-2 draw.
I think that's an agreeable result for both of you. You don't want to, for City, you don't want to drop points to Liverpool, obviously. Same for Liverpool. But going into Etihad and getting a point, that'll be fine in their books, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to a good match. I mean, I'll watch it on replay, so I'll try to avoid the actual result. But I will certainly check that out. Next up, one I'm not as excited about. Burnley hosting West Ham at Turf Moor in Burnley. I think they get smoked. I think this is 3-0 to West Ham. I don't think Burnley's got a shot.
West Ham have not impressed me as of late. They've kind of been, one game they beat a team 3-1 and they look like they could be a top 5 side. The next week they look like they could be a bottom 5 side.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. I think it'll be a lot of, again, pointless possession from Burnley.
Yeah.
And West Ham kind of thrives in the I don't want the ball, but we love to counter type of play. So I think it'll be 2-0. I could see it also going 3-0, 4-0. I just don't see Burnley being able to break through West Ham's defense.
Yeah, that's their big goal there for January, is to just get somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net. I don't know if they'll be able to get that, but if you're Burnley, that's item 1A on your list, is a striker or Cam or somebody who can convert on that admittedly decent possession that you have in the attacking third. Just conversion rate is abysmal. To the next match, also at 10 a.m., Lutontown hosts Crystal Palace. So we get another lovely low angle shot there for the Luton and Crystal Palace match. I think that this is another one where the home side doesn't stand a chance. This one isn't as bad, I don't think. I think Crystal Palace will be very happy with a 2-0 win here at Kenilworth Road. But Luton, they might sneak one. Luton every now and then will sneak one, but they're not good enough to win, I don't think.
Yeah, Crystal Palace they're a type of team that always plays to their competition, I've noticed. When they play the really good sides, they play really well. When they play the not very good sides, they don't play the best. I think coming off the international break, they're going to have had time to practice and prepare. So I think it'll be 2-0. I think they'll pull away the victory. Luton's been playing well recently, though. So like you said, I could see them kind of clawing their way back in this match if they need to.
They could. I just don't trust them in general for good reason. I think it's deserved, but we'll see. We'll see. Another 10 a.m. match. We still got 2 left after this, but another 10 a.m. match. This one I'm more up for than the other ones. Newcastle hosts Chelsea. I think Chelsea been playing better. They may have figured it out before the end of the year. I mean, granted, that 4-1 victory looks better. If you remember, that match was insane, where Tottenham gets 2 red cards, one pretty early in the first half, and the second one pretty early in the second half, and still looked like they could have drawn or won it. But the 4-4 victory against Man City, you got to give it to them. They took advantage of the missteps by City, which they have not done previously this year. So I think this one's a little bit closer. I think it's more boring. I think Newcastle gives up fewer opportunities than City did in that. I think this is back to kind of Newcastle's MO at this point. I think this is a 1-0 kind of just gut shot match where they're just banging away at Newcastle, and Newcastle gets one just with some quick counter there.
Yeah, I think it'll end up being a 1-1. I think you're right. There's not going to be as many chances, but Chelsea looked, despite Man City's issues, Chelsea looked a decent side.
Yeah.
I think that they're young, so I think they're starting to get some momentum, trying to figure it out. Again, don't think this year they're going to randomly be a top 4 side, but
no,
I do think they'll beat some top 4 sides eventually. So I don't know. I think it'll be 1-1. It's at Newcastle, so
that helps.
I don't see them getting the win. But I do think that it'll be a draw.
Yeah, you could certainly see that because Chelsea, they're starting to cohere as a unit better than they were previously in the season. To one that it could be interesting. You never know with Nottingham Forest. It's not as bad as who's the side who I never can trust. A lot of them. But Nottingham Forest hosts Brighton. Brighton needs something here. They've got 1-1 draws in their past 3 matches against sides that they probably should have beaten. 1-1 versus Fulham, not a good look. 1-1 versus Sheffield, not a good look. 1-1 versus Everton, fine. You can let that go. You're away at Everton. But they need a full 3 here. And I think they get it. I think they get back on that early season roll, get a nice 3-1 victory, kind of settle back into things. The classic 3-1 Brighton from this year. I think Nottingham takes a little bit of a step back because they've had some decent results of late, at least some decent looks. But I think that they do step back on this one and take it on the chin against Brighton.
I'm going the opposite.
Really?
I'm going Nottingham comes out and they continue the run. And I think Brighton, they've looked disoriented, disarrayed even. I mean, I'm pretty sure they had 15 points, actually 12 points out of their first 5 games. I think they were 4-1.
They look good.
Since then they're only at 19 now. So they've gotten 7 out of the last 7. So starting the year hot, great, but I think it's really hard to get back into the swing of things at this point, especially going into December. So I think Nottingham continues on and wins 3-1.
Wow, a true.
And that's mainly now. If this was at the Amex, I might have a different opinion, but I think being at the City Ground, Nottingham's going to ride the home crowd.
Okay, listen, Nottingham. I wouldn't put it past Nottingham, and I wouldn't put it past Brighton, because I don't know where some of those connections earlier in the season went. But we'll see. We will see. And for the last of the 10 a.m. matches, this one, it's Sheffield United and Bournemouth. I mean, no one's excited for this one at Bramall Lane. I think this is a real snoozy 1-1. I don't have much to say about it. Neither of these sides are very good. Both of them staring relegation in the face. Both wish they would have gotten 3 points, but they ain't getting it.
Yeah, this will be not the most exciting game to watch, but could be one of the most important games of the season.
Certainly consequential, yeah.
And I think Bournemouth comes out on top 3-0. I think it's a methodical, 15th minute goal, 47th minute, 82nd minute. It's just going to be methodical. I think Bournemouth is the better side at attacking, and I think eventually they'll get there. So I think even though it's at Sheffield, I think Bournemouth's going to pull it out.
Wow. That would be a great result for Bournemouth coming out of the international break. Then the 12:30 match, the late match, here at the G-Tech Community Stadium in Brentford, UK. Brentford hosting Arsenal. I'll let you lead off on this one. What do you think we got going on here?
I think Arsenal is going to want to start hot. And the last time I predicted Brentford upsetting someone, it did not go well. So I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1
I think it's
Arsenal.
going to be, I don't want to say simple. It'll be a tough match for them, but I think it'll be 2-1.
I've got it similar, but I think that Arsenal kind of gets hit early by Brentford. And they actually come back, ending up winning 2-3 over Brentford. Because Brentford, they can score goals, and they are also prone to giving up goals. I mean, they've given up 5 goals in their last two matches. If you go back for 4 matches, they've given up 8 goals in the last 2 matches. So they can be. I almost said something that would be a double entendre, so I will not continue with that line of thought. But they end up giving more than they get in this one. And it's going to be a 2-3 for Arsenal. I think they'll put them top of the table. Is that right? If they go with the draw there for Manchester and Liverpool, yeah, that'll put Arsenal top of the table. It's really congested up there. I mean, we could have, a lot could happen this
will be when
week.
teams pull away, though, because there's a game I think from now till January, it's like only a 5-day gap is the longest gap between Premier League games. So there's going to be like 10 games in the next 5 weeks. So this will be when we really see some top of the table pulling away.
Yeah, this is basically the next month and change is very key to the rest of this season. That wraps up the Saturday action. We will then move to Sunday.
Wraps up the episode.
Doesn't wrap up the episode, though. We still got 3 left. Some of them are actually important. Spurs host Villa, 9 a.m. Sunday morn. What you got here?
This will be a good one. I think Villa's they're gonna get back to their offensive ways. I think it's gonna be 3-3 draw.
Wow.
I think Sunday will kick off with fireworks and all of that Thanksgiving stuffing that the British people did not eat because they don't celebrate it. It's going to be gone away.
They don't even know.
But I will say Mo Salah celebrates Christmas, and that's a whole different religion. But anyways, they might celebrate Thanksgiving. Who knows? But I think they're going to have goals aplenty.
Yeah.
3-3 at Tottenham Hotspur.
I've got a bit similar. Mine's not as drastic. I got 2-2 draw. Because I think that both these teams will be ready to kind of put their best foot forward coming out of the international break, especially Tottenham. They've dropped their last 2 against sides they should have. I mean, the Tottenham-Chelsea match we've talked about ad nauseum, essentially. But the late giveaway to my Wolves last match day was not a good look for Tottenham. So I think they tried to do that. I think that Aston Villa matched them, essentially. 2-2 is what I've got. And then for Everton and Man U, the 11:30 match there at Goodison Park in Liverpool, I think that Everton kind of rally the troops here. They just lost 10 points, and I think they get 3 back here. Not a great match to watch. 1-0 is what I've got it against United. As United seems to be doing here, only they've been winning 1-0 recently. But I think that this is sort of a step back in the right direction for Everton to get back out of that that relegation zone where they currently reside.
Yeah, I think Everton's going to respond pretty well after the news of the 10-point deduction. They're going to have to.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been playing well prior to that, so I think I have a 2-0 Everton victory. Because, again, I think Man U's starting to crumble. They've dropped a couple of points recently. They've been getting lucky all throughout the season. And I think they begin to crumble. And you had Klopp out. I have Ten Hag out. So I'm hoping that that train starts to move in the right direction.
I mean, Klopp out was always aspirational as opposed to realistic. Ten Hag is definitely being discussed openly. United, they've had such a cupcake schedule the past 6 weeks or so that I think they start to get caught up in some decent sides where they actually have to play a good match. And then wrapping up, well, on this one it's Monday, so not exactly the weekend, but the match day on 3 p.m. Craven Cottage, London. Fulham hosts Wolves. Do we pull another one out? What do you think?
Every time I pick Wolves to lose, they win. And whenever I pick them to do well, they don't do well. So it's got me really conflicted. Because I want to see them do well. And I don't think Fulham has been the greatest side recently.
No.
I mean,
I'd say even for the season, they haven't been great.
I think it'll end up being a 1-1 draw. That way, whether they win or they lose, it's not my fault.
I've got this as a 1-0 Fulham loss. Haha, got you there. I just think that Fulham aren't good at scoring. That is something that we've learned. They put 3 past Sheffield United, but that's not an accomplishment. That's just something that's something almost that is a matter of course. Only having, what is it? Their goals for is they're only at 10 goals for, so they're averaging less than a goal a game so far this season. My Wolves are averaging more than a goal a game, unlike last season. So I think that we at least meet par and get our goal, winning 1-0, and feel good about it. I mean, listen, right now we're missing our who has been our best player so far this year, Neto. I'm not sure when he's due back. Hopefully soon, but probably not. I'll have to check in on that. So it's hopeful. It's hopeful for my Wolves. But
I mean, their form is good. They've gotten 7 points out of a possible 12 over the last 4 games. Fulham only 1 point of a possible 12. So the form points towards Wolves pulling it out.
I mean, we just beat Tottenham. Tottenham's good. So
you beat City and Tottenham in a 4-game span. So you'd think that you'd be able to carry that through.
You would hope. You would hope. I don't know if they will, but we will certainly see this weekend. Anyway, that will be the week that was Matchday 13. Yes. Anything else before we get on out of here?
On a non-EPL note, I want everyone to know that Xander is number 1 in his fantasy football league that we share. He is 9-2 atop of the table. And he's done it now. He doesn't have Joe Burrow anymore. Joe Burrow's out.
Oh my goodness.
But he's 9-2. So everyone, he's also a fantasy football wizard as well.
Wizard is the right way to put it because my team's not very good. Do not look at my points for because I am trailing the second place guy, your brother, by I think it's by like 300 points cumulatively.
Hey, your starting QBs this week are Jake Browning and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So if you pull off the win, you might as well just take home the championship.
Every win that I pull off, I do deserve it because I have currently 8 QBs on my roster. It's a legacy league, so you keep your roster from year to year. So I can't cut Deshaun Watson. I can't cut Joe Burrow. I drafted and I'm holding on to Jimmy G and Trey Lance speculatively, obviously, and then I can't cut Hendon Hooker because I think that he'll start for somebody eventually. And And I think I think I have 8 QBs currently.
PJ Walker as well.
Yes, and he is insurance for Dorian Thompson-Robinson in case they decide to bench him.
Quarterbacks. You need to pick up Joe Flacco too.
I know. Somebody already picked up Joe Flacco. I don't want Joe Flacco. I don't want to have any other quarterbacks on my team. Different type of football, obviously. Hey, listen, if you're interested in that sort of thing, drop a comment in YouTube. Maybe we'll pick up football with a kick. I'm sure that's that type of material that everyone's clamoring for. But, while you're thinking about dropping a comment, go ahead and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Leave a comment. If I like it, we'll read it. If it's mean, I'm not going to read it if it's mean, okay? I won't hide it because I'm not a coward, but I don't have to read it either. It's the X policy, right? It's speech, not reach. So you can say it, but I'm not going to give you a platform for it. Is that my preferred method? Listen, I'm going to leave politics out of this. Anyways, that's all that I've got. We've talked about fantasy football. So until next time, which will be Monday, Tuesday episode. There's no Champions League going on in that week, right? I don't think so.
I think it's the next.
I think it's the next as well. Let's see. Whoa, where'd I go? Oh my goodness.
No, it will be. Yeah, it'll be next week actually. So there will be a Champions League.
Okay, so we will actually have an episode on Monday evening then. And then
we know when the schedule is. We just like to
listen. We're coming back from the international break too. So we will be back Monday evening. Until then, why don't you go ahead and grab your coffee, watch some soccer.